Edo State House of Assembly Speaker, Blessing Sheriff Agbebeku has confirmed the killing of Brigadier General Asani Brema, the commander of the 29 Task Force Brigade in Operation Haddon Kai, when the Brigadier General and his troops came under the coordinated multiple attacks launched by the Islamic State of West Africa Province, Iswap at Benishek community in Kaga local government area of Borno State early morning night on Thursday. An attack the Nigeria Defense Headquarters had on Thursday denied the Brigadier General was ever killed alongside his soldiers, insisting the general was alive until Friday morning. The Edo State House of Assembly Speaker, who is also one of the prominent kinsmen of the high-ranking soldier, announced the death of the Brigadier General on behalf of the people of Owen ethnic group in Edo State. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who probably tried to avoid contradicting the statement of denial issued by the Nigeria Defense Headquarters, mourned the deaths and killing of the country's soldiers, by thus simply and apparently logically stating that, "I extend my condolences to the families of our gallant soldiers, led by Brigadier General Asani Brema, who made the ultimate sacrifice in the defense of our country today in Borno State." According to the condolence message made available by the Special Advisor on Media to the Edo State House of Assembly Speaker and a prominent broadcaster in the state-owned Edo Broadcasting Service, EBS, Ivy Adodo Ebejele, the Edo State House of Assembly Speaker, Blessing Agbebeku said, "On behalf of the entire Assembly and the good people of Owen Nation, mourns the painful loss of our gallant son, Brigadier General O.O. Brema, who paid the ultimate price in service to our dear nation, Nigeria. His bravery, sacrifice, and unwavering commitment to the peace and unity of our country will never be forgotten. He stood as a shield for the nation and a symbol of courage for generations to come. This tragic loss is not only a blow to the Nigerian army but a deep wound to Owen land, Edo State, and the nation at large. We are proud of his service, even in grief. We extend our heartfelt condolences to his family, the Nigerian Armed Forces, and all who mourn this hero. May the Almighty grant his soul eternal rest and give us all the strength to bear this irreparable loss. Rest on, brave son of Owen. Your sacrifice will forever speak." President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in a condolence message issued through the Office of the Special Advisor on Media and Strategy to the President, Bayo Onanuga, said, expressed deep sadness over the loss of the brave soldiers of the 29 Task Force Brigade, Operation Haddon Kai, who died in a coordinated terrorist attack on their camp in Benishek, Borno State. The President also expressed heartfelt condolences to the military and the families of the soldiers, urging them to take heart in the face of the unfortunate loss. The Defense Headquarters confirmed the attack and the tragic loss of lives, which occurred early Thursday, April 9, 2026. President Tinubu praised the courage and heroism of the soldiers who fought valiantly to repel the terrorists and ensure that Boko Haram could not overrun the communities the soldiers protect. While mourning the death of the gallant soldiers, President Tinubu urged the leadership of the armed forces and all soldiers on the front line not to be discouraged, but to draw strength from the nation's deep appreciation for their sacrifices. "From the reports I have received, our armed forces have been conducting sustained, intense land and air offensives against the insurgents, neutralizing many of their fighters and commanders. The insurgents' counterattack is a sign of desperation. I extend my condolences to the families of our gallant soldiers, led by Brigadier General Asani Brema, who made the ultimate sacrifice in the defense of our country today in Borno State. The government will never forget their sacrifices. Their sacrifices will not be in vain. Because of the courage and dedication of our troops on the front line, our resolve to defeat terrorism and all forms of violence across Nigeria is stronger than ever. I urge the military high command and our troops in all theaters of operation, do not lose heart, do not be weary, do not be discouraged. Our officers and men should continue to serve with honor, courage, and patriotism. The government will always stand by the armed forces, provide more of the equipment needed and ensure the welfare of all who risk their lives for our safety. I urge Nigerians and the media to continue to support our military in their relentless battle against insurgency and banditry. We should desist from celebrating or condoning the attacks against our troops. These soldiers are our heroes, unforgettable and irreplaceable. My condolences also go to the government and people of Borno State. The federal government will continue to work with the state government to achieve total victory and lasting peace. We had on Thursday reported that the Armed Forces of Nigeria, AFN, has insisted that Brigadier General Asani Brema is alive, after several reports indicated that the commander of the 29 Task Force Brigade in Operation Haddon Kai was left dead alongside several other Nigerian soldiers when the Islamic State of West Africa Province, Iswap, launched a coordinated multiple attacks on military bases at Pulka, Bakin Ruwa communities in Gwoza local government area and Namdi and Benishek communities in the Kaga local government area of Borno State between the hours of 10 p.m. on Wednesday night and 12 a.m. on Thursday early morning night, killing several numbers of Nigerian soldiers, overran some of the military bases, but the Nigeria Military Authority claimed that Brigadier General Asani Brema and his troops were able to repel the attackers at Benishek, saying, "The Brigadier General is alive and not dead," as widely reported in some media platforms. In addition, the Nigerian Defense Headquarters, in a press statement issued a few hours ago by Major General Michael Onoja, admitted that some numbers of Nigerian soldiers were left dead during the attacks but refused to state the total numbers of soldiers killed by the attackers. Accordingly, the army said, regrettably, the encounter resulted in the loss of a few brave and gallant soldiers who paid the supreme price in the line of duty.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
Armed Forces of Nigeria, AFN, has insisted that Brigadier General Asani Brema is alive, after several reports indicated that the commander of the 29 Task Force Brigade in Operation Haddon Kai was left dead alongside several other Nigerian soldiers when the Islamic State of West Africa Province, Iswap, launched a coordinated multiple attacks on military bases at Pulka, Bakin Ruwa communities in Gwoza local government area and Namdi and Benishek communities in the Kaga local government area of Borno State between the hours of 10 p.m. on Wednesday night and 12 a.m. on Thursday early morning night, killing several numbers of Nigerian soldiers, overran some of the military bases, but the Nigeria Military Authority claimed that Brigadier General Asani Brema and his troops were able to repel the attackers at Benishek, saying, "The Brigadier General is alive and not dead," as widely reported in some media platforms. In addition, the Nigerian Defense Headquarters, in a press statement issued a few hours ago by Major General Michael Onoja, admitted that some numbers of Nigerian soldiers were left dead during the attacks but refused to state the total numbers of soldiers killed by the attackers. Accordingly, the army said, regrettably, the encounter resulted in the loss of a few brave and gallant soldiers who paid the supreme price in the line of duty. According to the Nigeria Defense Headquarters in a press release that looked apparently self-contradicting, questionable and somehow dishonest with facts, in continuation of the Armed Forces of Nigeria's, AFN, counter-terrorism efforts, troops of the 29 Task Force Brigade in Operation Haddon Kai came under a coordinated terrorist attack on their location at the brigade headquarters in Benishek, Borno State. The attack occurred at approximately 0:30 hours, 12:30 a.m., on Thursday the 9th of April 2026, as insurgents attempted to breach the defensive perimeter of the military installation. However, the troops, led by the Commander 29 Brigade, Brigadier General Asani Brema, responded with exceptional courage, professionalism, and superior firepower. In a well-coordinated counteraction, the insurgents were decisively engaged and forced to retreat in disarray, abandoning their mission and leaving behind traces of their failed assault. This attack is a clear indication of the desperation of terrorist elements who, having suffered significant losses in recent operations, continue to resort to futile and ill-fated offensives against well-defended military positions. The swift and decisive response by troops underscores the high level of combat readiness, resilience, and operational effectiveness of Operation Haddon Kai in safeguarding critical locations and maintaining pressure on terrorist groups across the Northeast Theater. Regrettably, the encounter resulted in the loss of a few brave and gallant soldiers who paid the supreme price in the line of duty. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Olufemi Olatunbosun Oluyede, honors their heroism, sacrifice, and unwavering commitment to the defense of the nation. Their courage will forever remain a source of pride and inspiration to the armed forces of Nigeria and the entire nation. The High Command extends its deepest condolences to their families and loved ones. In line with established military tradition and respect for the fallen, the general public and media are kindly requested to allow the armed forces to formally notify the next of kin before the release of further details. The public is also urged to disregard misinformation, sensational reports, and unverified content circulating across social media platforms, as these undermine ongoing operations and national security efforts. The Armed Forces of Nigeria, in collaboration with other security agencies and stakeholders, remain resolute and undeterred in the ongoing fight against terrorism and insurgency. Additional clearance and exploitation operations are ongoing in the general area to track and neutralize fleeing insurgents, as well as to deny them any opportunity to regroup. The Chief of Defense Staff commends the bravery, discipline, and steadfastness of the troops, whose sacrifices continue to ensure the safety, stability, and sovereignty of Nigeria. Their dedication in one of the most challenging operational environments reaffirms the armed forces' commitment to restoring lasting peace in the Northeast and across the country. The general public is encouraged to continue supporting the armed forces through timely and credible information that can aid ongoing operations. Citizens are urged to remain calm, vigilant, and law-abiding as security forces sustain momentum in ongoing operations. Further updates will be provided as necessary. Signed by Michael Onoja, Major General, Director, Defense Media Operations, Defense Headquarters, Abuja on the 9th of April 2026. International News Agency, AFP, while quoting its source as republished by Punch newspaper, stated that terrorists in northeast Nigeria killed a brigadier general in an assault on a military base, a local government chairman told AFP on Thursday, the second killing of a high-ranking officer in 5 months. Africa's most populous country has been fighting a terrorist insurgency for 17 years, since Boko Haram's 2009 uprising, which has seen the emergence of powerful splinter groups, including Islamic State West Africa Province. In an overnight attack, unidentified terrorists killed at least 18 soldiers and torched vehicles at a base in Benishek, about 75 kilometers from Borno state capital Maiduguri, an intelligence source told AFP. Unfortunately, the brigade commander, Brigadier General O.O. Brema, lost his life, Kaga local government chairman, Zanalawan Ajami told AFP in a phone interview. 2 intelligence sources confirmed Brema's death to AFP. His death follows the killing of Brigadier General Musa Uba by Iswap in November. He was the highest-ranking military official to die in the long-running conflict since 2021. They overran the brigade, one of the intelligence sources said, giving the death toll as, at least, 18. The second intelligence source said that the terrorists killed several troops and burned vehicles and buildings before they withdrew, without giving a toll. The Army and Nigeria's defense headquarters did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Borno capital Maiduguri has seen 2 suicide bombings since December, the type of bloody, urban attacks reminiscent of the insurgency's peak a decade ago. On Wednesday, the U.S. State Department said in a notice it was authorizing non-emergency U.S. government employees to leave Abuja due to the deteriorating security situation. While the insurgency is concentrated in the northeastern countryside, terrorists from Nigeria and the neighboring Sahel have made inroads western Nigeria, where organized crime gangs known as bandits have been raiding villages and extorting farmers and artisanal miners for years. Gunmen killed at least 90 people across several remote villages in northwest Nigeria this week, according to an AFP tally of tolls given by local and humanitarian sources. Among the attacks was an assault in Kebbi State that police blamed a local terrorist group known as Mahmuda, which is affiliated with Al-Qaeda. Kebbi sits on Nigeria's border with Benin and Niger and since 2025 has been targeted by a rising number of terrorist attacks. Mike Arnold, an American politician who is a prominent and controversial figure in Nigerian social and political discourse, stated via his Facebook page that, "I first reported this overnight, as it was happening. I've since received multiple confirmations. From what I know, this is what happened." Iswap launched simultaneous attacks on two Borno state locations overnight, Pulka community in Gwoza local government area and Benishek town in Kaga local government area. In Pulka, fighters struck the military operations base at approximately 10:25 p.m., engaging soldiers until troops ran out of ammunition. Attackers then moved to a road construction site, destroying equipment and vehicles belonging to Decency Road construction firm, before setting civilian homes ablaze. Civilians fled to surrounding mountains. Reinforcements arrived from Brigade Gwoza and repelled the attack. One civilian JTF member was killed. Military casualties unconfirmed but reported. In Benishek, terrorists struck at approximately 1 a.m., burning trucks and commercial vehicles and killing motorists and passengers who had stopped for the night due to the routine evening closure of the Maiduguri-Damaturu-Kano road. A brigadier general, the military's commanding officer at Benishek, was killed in the attack. It is the highest-ranking officer killed since Brigadier General Uba was killed in a Borno ambush in late 2025. The two attacks were coordinated and simultaneous. Senator Ali Ndume confirmed both incidents, noting that troops are doing their best but lack sufficient equipment to confront the terrorists. Pulka currently hosts thousands of displaced survivors from the Ngosh massacre of March 3rd. The terrorists hit it again last night. My thoughts: Tinubu and his administration should relocate to the military base there. Perhaps the next attack will solve all of Nigeria's problems all at once, when they are visited by the brothers and sons, and given a fitting send-off. Note: the troops lack insufficient equipment, too bad they can't fight with restoring hope, buses, or bags of rice, or 300 million naira's wristwatches. The Nigerian government is illegitimate, illegal, corrupt and complicit. Innocent people continue to pay the price. This must end.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.
Nigeria President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has given reasons why he could not visit the Angwin Rakuba community, the scene some citizens were massacred by terrorists on Palm Sunday, saying, upon arrival in Jos, the visit encountered some logistical challenges. While the road distance from the airport to Jos Township is approximately 40 minutes, the runway does not support night flights due to the absence of navigational aids. The constraints made it unfeasible to drive into town, meet victims for on-the-spot assessment and return to the airport before dusk. Consequently, state and federal officials decided to bring representatives of the affected community to a hall adjoining the airport so the president could meet with them promptly while adhering to flight restrictions. Swiftly, Peter Obi, former governor of Anambra State and the Labour Party presidential candidate in the last general elections in Nigeria, said, during his visit to Benue State in June 2025, Bola Ahmed Tinubu stopped at the government house but did not go to the actual scene where innocent Nigerians lost their lives. Similarly, in Jos, his engagement ended at the airport instead of at the affected communities. At a time when Nigerians are enduring days without power, our leaders cannot even stay a few minutes without it. Now is the time to stop incompetent leaders. Those lacking the capacity and compassion, who prioritize their own comfort over the well-being of the people and make empty promises. On the other hand, Atiku Abubakar, the former vice president of Nigeria and the last general elections presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, demanded President Bola Ahmed Tinubu act as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces and stated how dozens have continued to be killed in Benue State less than 72 hours, another killings in Kaduna State and thousands of people seen running away at a community in Nasarawa State after the president had visited Plateau State and promised such attack wouldn't occur again, according to Atiku Abubakar. I wish to remind President Bola Tinubu to keep to his words that this Angwan-Rakuba attack will not repeat itself. It does appear that those words are hollow because barely 72 hours. Another attack in Benue State claimed over a dozen lives. The Commander-in-Chief should brace up to the challenges of governance. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, through the Office of the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga on April 3, 2026 in a statement said, President Tinubu's itinerary for Thursday included two main engagements, receiving the Chadian President, Mahamat Idris Deby Itno, and proceeding to Iperu, Ogun State. After Governor Caleb Mutfwang's briefing, President Tinubu suspended the trip to Ogun. Overnight, the presidential villa made arrangements for the visit to Jos, with presidential assets quickly deployed. However, the president could not postpone the scheduled visit by the Chadian leader. The president of Chad was at the presidential villa for a very important bilateral meeting focused on strengthening security collaboration between the two countries. The meeting ran longer than expected, affecting President Tinubu's scheduled departure for Jos. Upon arrival in Jos, the visit encountered some logistical challenges. While the road distance from the airport to Jos Township is approximately 40 minutes, the runway does not support night flights due to the absence of navigational aids. The constraints made it unfeasible to drive into town, meet victims for on-the-spot assessment and return to the airport before dusk. Consequently, state and federal officials decided to bring representatives of the affected community to a hall adjoining the airport so the president could meet with them promptly while adhering to flight restrictions. Among the people in the hall were the Minister of Defense, the Chief of Army Staff and the Inspector General of Police, who had visited Rakuba, the epicenter of the conflict. President Tinubu deployed the high-level team to Rakuba, including the Senior Special Assistant on Community Engagement, to undertake critical groundwork on security and community engagement, with a view to stabilizing the area before his arrival. Beyond expressing his condolences to the victims, President Tinubu's objective was to engage with critical stakeholders in Plateau State on ending the recurring, decades-old conflict that has resulted in needless loss of lives and property. President Tinubu's visit to Jos was not merely symbolic. It was a strategic, high-level engagement aimed at bringing all stakeholders together to address the root causes of conflict and insecurity in the state. He interacted with the victims, consoled them, and listened to them. He also listened to local leaders and assured them that the federal government would deliver justice and end the cycle of violence. He promised the deployment of 5,000 AI-enabled cameras to monitor the city and enhance the identification and arrest of troublemakers. Furthermore, the president invited the community leaders to Abuja for further talks on finding a lasting solution to the recurring violence in the state. The meeting, televised live, was solemn and reassuring, boosting residents' confidence. President Tinubu achieved the purpose of his visit, despite the naysayers' attempts to ridicule it. He dropped an unmistakable message: sustainable peace must be built with the people, not imposed on them. Reacting, Peter Obi said, during the 2023 campaign, President Tinubu made a clear electoral promise: if I don't give you constant electricity in 4 years, don't vote for me for a second term. When he took office in 2023, Nigeria had a power supply of over 4,000 megawatts and lower tariffs. Today, the electricity power supply is less than 4,000 megawatts on the average, and Nigerians are paying higher tariffs. Nigeria currently has the lowest per capita electricity consumption in the world, with a rate below 30% of the African average. Africa's average is 617 kWh, Nigeria's is 144 kilowatt-hours. This means that Nigerians consume least electricity than other Africans. In a glaring display of disregard for promises and a lack of trust, President Tinubu, during a brief airport stopover to visit grieving families of the Jos attack on Thursday, April 2, 2026, stated that one of the reasons for his 10-minute stay was that the airport had no electricity. You have no light here, I fly out in 10 minutes. At a time when Nigerians are enduring days without power, our leaders cannot even stay a few minutes without it. Now is the time to stop incompetent leaders, those lacking the capacity and compassion, who prioritize their own comfort over the well-being of the people and make empty promises. During his visit to Benue State in June 2025, Bola Ahmed Tinubu stopped at the government house but did not go to the actual scene where innocent Nigerians lost their lives. Similarly, yesterday in Jos, his engagement ended at the airport instead of at the affected communities. What happened in Plateau yesterday highlights a complete absence of leadership. True leadership requires presence, empathy, compassion, and a willingness to meet people where their pain truly lies. For citizens who have just lost loved ones, homes, and their sense of safety, being addressed from an airport tarmac is profoundly inadequate. This approach exacerbates the sense of abandonment already felt by innocent Nigerians who have endured repeated cycles of violence without meaningful protection or justice. Plateau deserves more than distant words. It requires urgent action and a clear commitment to ending the insecurity that continues to claim innocent lives. In such moments, leadership must not only be visible but also tangible, standing with victims, listening to survivors, and acknowledging the depth of the grief. If we truly desire a better Nigeria, we must demand leadership that is present, responsive, and responsible at all times. We must resist the suffocation of our democracy by those who once claimed to have sacrificed to defend it, but are now doing everything possible to undermine it and silence opposition. History will not be kind to those who traded the struggle for democracy for the comfort of power. We will not remain silent, we will not be intimidated, and we will not surrender the future of this nation. The will of the people must prevail, stronger, louder, and impossible to suppress. Atiku Abubakar said, "I wish to remind President Bola Tinubu to keep to his words that this Angwin Rakuba attack will not repeat itself." It does appear that those words are hollow because barely 72 hours, another attack in Benue State claimed over a dozen lives. The Commander-in-Chief should brace up to the challenges of governance. I am also concerned, like all well-meaning Nigerians, about what is going on in a Nasarawa community where families had fled on foot amid threats of attack. And as if those are not enough, there was a fresh attack in Kaduna State at the weekend. The primary responsibility of government is the protection of lives and property and the promotion of the welfare of citizens. Enough of these hollow rhetoric, Mr. President. It is time to fold your sleeves and get to work. Meanwhile, my thoughts and prayers are with the families who may have lost a dear one in these attacks. I am outraged by the barbaric attack in Gari Yahweh community, Angwin Rakuba, Jos, which claimed the lives of scores of innocent Nigerians and left many others injured. That this heinous assault occurred on Sunday night, March 29, 2026, is yet another damning indictment of the near-total collapse of security in our country. What we are witnessing is not merely a security lapse, but a tragic descent into lawlessness where human lives are treated as expendable. Despite endless pronouncements and so-called marching orders, insecurity remains the grim, daily reality of ordinary Nigerians who continue to bear the brunt of a failing system. It is long past the time for outrage without action. The anger across the land must now compel urgent, decisive political will to confront and crush this menace. The continued slaughter of innocent citizens cannot become our new normal. My thoughts and prayers are with the families and loved ones of the victims in this dark and painful moment.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. You have no light at the airport, and I have to fly back within the next 10 minutes. To you leaders, I've heard this. To the victim, there is nothing I can give you, whether money in billions, but console you and promise you that this experience will not repeat itself. I take For example, Favor Roda. I know the pain. I see how on the video you head on to Ayuba and the pain and agony in your heart. But it's only God. It's only God who can give you joy and comfort. No amount of money can pay all of you back. Yes, as government, we will try our best. Who had accommodated us politically. I brought the symbol of this cap to break the shackle of violence, shackle of ignorance, shackle of poverty, shackle of hopelessness. We must break it together. I thank the men and women of the armed forces, particularly the police, for what they are doing and what they are about to do. You must unearth and find the killers. I'm glad IGP is here. I'm glad COAS is here too, Chief of Army Staff. I'm glad the Minister of Defense is here. Our dear leaders, I've been to Jos, I've enjoyed Jos in those days of peace. We've held our political activities here, Yaya Kande. I'm glad you are still alive. We thank God for you and many of you. Thank you. I used to point to your house where we spent the night, where the leaders, both the leaders of our politics, where I was active as a young man. You accommodated us. You opened your doors for us.
This is Brigadier.
Then why do we build a division? Our promise then was progressive development.
There has been gunshot by the security personnel.
Improve standard of living for our people.
There will be another gunshot.
Not to bury, but to develop.
The market, most people are stranded at this point.
Immediately we return to Abuja.
If you can look from here,
The committee, as mentioned,
and at this
you increase the number of leaders,
they can't go anywhere, they can't move further.
including Atawe, the governor,
This is very
and the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs. The minister, thank you.
close to tomato market.
Come see me, take numeric
Currently,
analysis. You are a data person.
soldiers are
For the victims, let's see what we can do.
Franco around here. This is Brigadier around the
For their losses, we cannot replace
and
in human beings.
wants to
But whatever we do to give them minimum comfort, we will.
Osazuwa Radio, bringing you the news in a more digital way. Osazuwa Radio, bringing you the news in a more digital way.